Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Clydesdale Media News. We are just wrapping up the Zelos Games in Vegas. I am Scott Schweitzer. I'm the Clydesdale. She is Kat Shear, and we're here to kind of wrap it all up in a little bow. I know the thumbnail advertises that we will announce who the winner is of our C4 giveaway. The leaderboard's just finalized, and I have not done the math yet. So please look for that winner tomorrow on our weekly roundtable. I will have all that ready. We will make that announcement then.
Did I win? Did I win our pool? Did I win ours? Do you know?
If I didn't get that math done, the R thing is way more complicated than that.
I'm close.
I know I did not win. When my women were all in the first heat of the final event, I knew I was struggling.
Yeah, I think, but three of us had, between Amy, Charlie, and myself, we each had a podium athlete on the guys' side and the girls' side, right?
Well, I had the winner. I had two.
Right. Okay, so you, and then I had James, and Amy had Tola. So it was you, Amy, and myself. Hi, Elise. And then on the women's side, it was Amy, Charlie, and me, right?
Alex, I know it wasn't me.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Anyway, it's going to be close.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. I have a shot for once.
Yeah. And one of your people didn't even show up to the event and you're still in the running.
What happened? He was sick. Mike McDonald. I checked his Instagram. Yeah. There was nothing.
And I like Mike. I got to meet him at semifinals. Great dude. Would have been fun to see him out there.
Yeah. I really wanted to see him on the floor, but oh well.
So that's a great segue to one of my first points is I loved what they did this weekend for so many reasons. I have a list of things I want to talk about, but first and foremost, athletes that don't normally get exposure got a ton of exposure this weekend.
For sure.
And it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it was a small field, right? You only had 12 and 12. So it was easy to highlight everyone. The heats were really small. So you really could follow the action of everyone and see what their sort of strengths and weaknesses were. And you have the ability to highlight that. I do think it's great. The overarching sort of thing that I'm going to poo-poo the whole weekend is it was only 24 athletes. Right? We're going to say how great it was and how organized it was and all that. And it's like, easy to do with 24 athletes. Super easy to do.
But I have a solution to that.
Okay. What's that?
Because I think that was a key to why it was successful. It was easy to follow. It was easy to watch because it was only 24 athletes.
Sure. Yeah, so but that's not.
This was going to be my wrap up, but we can lead off with it.
Let's go with it. And I'm like a cut to the chase kind of gal. Let's just do it.
Think about this tournament style event in the off season. You have one of these in Europe or two of these in Europe. You have two of these in America. You have them all over the world, and these small little events, and it gives all those people exposure. And then you whittle it down to 2 semifinals with 24 athletes to 1 final with 24 athletes.
Yeah.
And you make it a four workout weekend, which isn't super taxing on an athlete, but so fun to watch and a way to get to know everybody in the off season. It's not the way you should find the fittest on earth, but it's a way to bring people in a smaller window that they get a smaller bite of the apple that's easier to take in and easier to digest and easier then to understand the sport.
Yeah, I thought that's a great point. I mean, you can take the time to sort of explain the workouts and, study the movements and things like that. That's true. And technically, I mean, someone could put on one of these every weekend. If you're popping around the US, it wouldn't have to be even 2 in the US. You could have 20 of these in the course of, 20 weeks. Really?
Yeah. You just don't want to dilute it so much that it's not people that will, if you do maybe 3 or 4 in the US, right? So then when semifinals come next year, then you know
You've seen
all
them.
athletes because you've seen them.
Yeah.
And you've seen them be highlighted in an event that they're really good at. Or like Tola hit like 330 snatch.
Yeah, that's
Are you
insane.
kidding me?
Insane. Yeah.
So then all of that happens. They get exposure. The sport gets exposure. Then the semifinals are more important because, hey, I remember them from this tournament style in the off season. And you don't even have to have the big dogs in it, right?
Sure.
The big dogs can do Wadapalooza and Dubai and Rogue, right? This is for those athletes that need the exposure and need that little extra so that they're known when we come to semifinals the following year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's a great idea. Who are you going to call? How are we going to do this?
I don't know. I think it's a great idea. Maybe I have Jared's number.
There you go.
I could text him and say, hey, this is my idea. I think what you've started is awesome. And now we know with 4 iPhones and 4 lanes, you can do a production.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't even need, you don't need that many judges. You don't need too many volunteers. It's really, really low scale on the prep side in terms of execution. Yeah. Good stuff.
So
good.
I was going to just pose a question to you. Any other highlights?
That's exactly what I was just going to ask you.
From you for the weekend.
Christine Krolenbrander snatched what, 225?
Yes. 5-pound PR.
Very,
unreal.
Very impressive.
Elia Miller, 215.
I mean, yeah, crazy. She's putting herself on the map with that snatch for sure.
And while we're talking about snatches, Tudor's 322, that's 7 pounds more than the winning snatch at the games 2 years ago.
And it looked easy.
Yeah.
It looked very smooth.
Crazy. Tudor looked like a different athlete this weekend.
He really did.
He looked like the semifinal athlete, not the games athlete.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was fun too. It was really fun for me just to see so many people that I recognized, around the floor in the fringe, like being part of the media team in the past and seeing some of those familiar faces was kind of cool. Just be like, oh, I know that person. Oh, I know that person. It was weird though, because it was the first time that I didn't recognize any judges.
Yeah.
0.
Gershwin says, don't forget, Tudor looks like he can run on his hands. And that's another thing you could do with these little things, like those big dogs that don't need the attention. In between, do a handstand walk event, Danielle Brandon versus Tudor Magda.
Yeah, just some fun things.
Yeah, like that. For winner gets $500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a head-to-head. I like that.
Yeah.
Or it's like in the middle, in between innings at a minor league baseball game. You do like the little dizzy bat races and stuff. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Love
or
it.
You do max rep pull-ups and take 2 of the greatest gymnast athletes we have, put them head to head, something like that to just add fun stuff to these events.
Yeah. Did you know what happened with Logan Ewing? He had to withdraw on one of the events. Do we know what happened there?
So all I heard was Scuttle that it might be a knee.
Oh, okay.
And that he couldn't go on, but I'll reach out to him and just make sure he's okay.
And did Mitch
he's
withdraw,
a friend of the show,
or did he just? Okay, he just
no.
Do that. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Our buddy.
Thanks. Thanks.
You had him, didn't you?
No, I didn't actually. That was Charlie's. So yeah.
It was nice to see Carrie cheering him on all weekend. That must have been an odd position for her to be in, like that role reversal with Mitch competing.
Well, and we know Mitch, right? Mitch knows where he sits in the pantheon of athletes. He's doing this because it's fun.
This was a fun weekend for him for sure.
So I want to talk about the broadcast. One, from an NFL fan, I thought it represented the Manning cast, which is an alternate Monday Night Football that ESPN does, where Peyton and Eli Manning host it, and they have just their friends show up and they chat during the game. And I
Very
think
cool
what
concept, by the
Sevon
way.
did was very much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're moving. ESPN is doing that for college football with Pat McAfee and his friends. So it's a concept that's working and growing. And Sevon pulled this off right at the right time.
Yeah,
It fit
nailed
that
it.
exact MO. The other thing, I love the challenge flag.
Yeah, I do
One
too.
challenge a day. Because you and I have been at events where things get to scoring and there's 8 appeals because there's no cost to making an appeal at the games or at a semifinal or at an
Right.
event.
Right, you have nothing to
And
lose.
it takes forever for scoring then to get done and update the boards. I love that. If you throw the flag, though, at anything in that segment of the workout that you're challenging is reviewed. And if there's a rep that got called good and was bad, you lose that rep.
Right, you're taking a risk.
Yep. They videoed the athlete briefing, which is never done anywhere. And then the audience, the athletes, and everybody know what the standards are. So nobody's guessing in the comment section. I think that added a ton to what happened.
That makes it a lot easier to follow as a spectator too, because you're not sitting there scratching their head wondering, what the standards are or why someone's doing it a certain way. And I know, especially at the CrossFit Games and at semis too, I guess they never really televise that stuff or make it known. It's sort of like, I don't know what the hesitation is. I mean, I guess it's just more scrutiny and more transparency is not maybe the greatest for some of those bigger productions, but I appreciate it. I mean, that's just because I'm so transparent myself. But yeah, I like it. And I want to know.
I think it did it. Yeah. Well, you and I want to know, like, half of our questions at an event are what's the rule?
Right.
And thank God we know a lot of the head judges and can like run over and go, what's the standard on the blah, blah, right? But not everybody has that option.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think it did too is when it's televised, you don't get a lot of dumb questions.
This is true.
Because nobody wants their dumb question to go out to the world.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, the athletes know that they're being filmed.
And they're forced to pay attention to what's being said because there's cameras panning.
Because now everyone else can say
on your phone.
Right. Now everyone else can say, I heard it. Why didn't you hear it?
Right.
That's true.
So I think those were some like side effects of the televised briefing that were really cool.
Yeah. And plus kudos to Jared for like letting that all happen too. Like he's really, really stepped out of the box, if you will, to allow all these new things to come to light, stuff that we've always wanted to see, but just have never been able to do. And I think that's why having Hiller as the head judge was such a good marriage there too, because it's the same concept. It's sort of like all the things that we, these armchair quarterbacks, like to talk about when we're watching videos and things, but like the head of the armchair quarterbacks was there on the floor. So you weren't getting away with anything.
Well, and how brilliant is that, right? You have Hiller, who now he's under the gun because he's been dogging everybody for what's happened for a year now. He had to get it right? Like the pressure was on him to get it right because he has been calling everybody out.
Yeah.
And I thought it was beautiful. And you got to give him kudos. Watching the briefing, he was so succinct in what everything was. And he showed the example himself of what is a good rep, what is a bad rep. And I think it was very clear as to what was allowed and what was not allowed.
Yeah. And I think, his background as a competitor helps too, because he's probably thought of or considered, the shortcuts to the movement himself or, seen it before. So I think that's always a good practice too.
I do want to say, I don't know if you saw the video. Did you see Hiller trying to do the salmon ladder?
I did. Oh my gosh. That looked so
I can't
painful.
believe he was able to get back out there today.
I'm glad he didn't hurt himself, but that looked awful.
I would have been in traction.
He did look a little awkward at times, like in front of the crowd. He definitely has a little bit of like social anxiety, I think, or something. And it was cute. It was like wholesome. I remember, I think I made a comment on the Sevon podcast, like that watching him do that it was almost wholesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Kudos to him. I think he did an amazing job. And he was quick to communicate. That was the key. There was a lot of communication about what the standards were, and that it was not hidden. Everything was open and transparent, which I thought was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of, and I'm going to say this to our sports fans out there, like the XFL.
Mm.
The XFL brought in all these crazy new rules and these crazy new things that ended up being adopted by the NFL because they could try them on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And that's where the innovation has come in to what's happened in the NFL, because they can't steer the cruise ship, but the XFL, that's this little PT boat, can maneuver pretty quick.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what this weekend reminded me of. And I hope Jared is ready, because I think that there's going to be a lot of calls for some things like this moving forward. And I think that's what he wanted anyway. He wanted opportunities for athletes. We had him on the show last year when he put out year one of this, and that's what he was trying to do. Just more opportunities for more athletes to get exposure and make money.
Yeah. It would be great too if he could turn the entire thing into, like you said, these sort of maybe weekly or bi-weekly events, and not have an online component, but just have it all in person, but just keep sort of moving it around. I think it'd be great.
And I think it's okay to keep like an online at home.
Sure. But like as a different division component, though, but like, not the same division as an elite division.
Because I know Jamie has signed up for this, and we want her to have her opportunity in the Masters division.
Well, even though she keeps saying that they could have age group weekends too, doesn't.
Yeah. A Masters tournament.
I mean,
give them exposure.
If Festivus can do it, Festivus is like the scaled version, and they have it throughout the year, and it's, a combined thing, and it's in person, and it's thousands and thousands of athletes. So they can make it work for sure.
So if I'm going to be transparent at this moment. The thing that was rolling through my head is you and I could pull this off at Masters Fitness Collective.
Yeah. Yeah. We could do it at Cattle's Fitness. I mean,
Well, I'm just saying, like, we know the Masters athletes because we're more familiar with that demographic than other people are. I could walk around and talk to people after the events. I could talk about who's on the floor when things are going, and I don't think Sevon's going to want to do every tournament bracket,
I'm gonna let my dogs out. Sorry, they're scratching. Go bark. Thank you. Okay. Oh, you're going out too? Go ahead. Go. Go. Oh, you dummy.
So, yeah, I thought that was the first thing that went into my head is we could pull this off at Masters Fitness Collective or Legends or any of those things. I think Legends is actually going to have like a studio thing done.
Sure.
But I love the roving reporter aspect of it. Yeah. And even if that was contracted out with an iPhone and some interviews and talking to people around, like getting Cutler on while all three Underdogs athletes were on the floor, or cool. Jorge Fernandez coming on when the Invictus athletes were on. Those were cool aspects that you don't get at the games very often, right? So my only criticism about the weekend is, just like CrossFit does when they go do semifinals, you have to have dedicated internet for your, and I don't think that this was their first time out. I'm not blaming them for it, but it's definitely something on the list that if it moves forward, you're going to have a dedicated router for your people to use to get the bandwidth you need to show the coverage you have. So,
yeah. And I think too, we have to remember too, like I said, small scale, 24 athletes, 5 lanes, like very manageable. It's not something that you're going to be able to like do at Wadapalooza. You know, you're not going to be able to do this, you know, at Granite Games or a big semifinal or anything like that. Or, I mean, even at MFC, the way it's structured right now would be, you know, difficult. But in this smaller thing, and you know, MFC might decide too that they spread out their competition throughout the year, and it becomes some kind of a, you know, points total NASCAR type deal, you know, or like how golf is scored. And if that's the case, then, you know, let's go do those all around the world, or all around the country at least. It would be fun.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
So your leaderboards, your podiums, for those of us joining, for those of you, I know a lot of you in the chats were on Sevon just 10 minutes ago, but it is on the women's side, Andrea Nisler for the win, Christine Kohlenbrander came in second, and Alex Gazan in third. And on the men's side, Tudor Magda, which came in first. It was Tola Moraquinho in second and James Sprague in third.
And one of these days, everyone will pronounce his name correctly. Tola Moraquinho.
Okay.
I stand by it.
You are the name police.
Yes. Tola Moraquinho.
That's really hard. It's not rhythmic.
I know. Sorry. Not all names are rhythmic.
Yeah. So that was a fun weekend. We're not going to keep you guys on too long. I know it's been a long weekend. You guys have been in the chats over there all weekend long. And I'm going to end this with, I had a lot of fun watching this. The close finishes were awesome. The fact that the guys just hanging out, chatting, were getting excited in the moments that we get excited gave me goosebumps at times. And I really enjoyed the broadcast. I watched every minute except for a little bit of the snatch workout this afternoon.
What were you doing? What was your excuse?
Watching my Chicago Bears blow another lead.
Got it.
But then I went back, fast forwarded through the early rounds and just watched the max lifts at the end.
YouTube comp. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be much competition.
Give me a year.
We do have, we can talk about, we're having Brian Spin from the Barbell Spin on Thursday.
We are.
He will not be revealing his true identity, but we will at least get to know him a little bit from a personal perspective and not just hear about his analysis. And we also have Jamie Latimer on Thursday as well, right?
We do.
Very
and
cool.
We have E. Schurch on Friday.
Yes, I cannot make that one, so I'm sad.
Oh, you can't?
No, I coach 4:30. It's at 4, right? 4 to 5. I mean, I might pop on for the first couple of minutes to say hi, but then I'll have to bail. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, after the videos you sent me last night, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it on our roundtable tomorrow, E would be a great person to chat with to get some critique. So maybe we'll have to load those videos in.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool.
And hear what she has to say.
Let's do that.
Yeah. So what's up, Travis? Thanks for jumping on, buddy. You're killing it in the comments. Last thing I want to talk about tonight, because I don't want to get into it tomorrow at the roundtable, but it was in the chats all weekend. There was a video done about Sevon by Bethany Sport Bethany, where she's called Sevon the most toxic man in CrossFit.
No way. Who's this person? Is it on Instagram?
It is on YouTube.
Ooh.
And I don't think you should give her the view.
Okay. Well, just tell me what happened then.
But I will sum it up for you pretty quick. And that is that she basically goes back and rehashes a bunch of old shit that people have said. Sporty Beth, that's it. She goes back and rehashes like the Tovar interview, Brooke Ent's video from the CrossFit podcast, like stuff that's like so freaking old.
Right.
And it's all because of the Danny Spiegel comments, the Danny Spiegel post about that people keep trashing her out about what she wears on Instagram. Sevon made a couple comments about it, and that's what started it. But she uses all these old examples. And what I find fascinating is, and I only know this because, so she had a CrossFit documentary done on her.
Oh, she
At
did.
the same time, I had a CrossFit documentary done on me.
Okay.
Those at the time we had those done had to be approved by Sevon.
Right.
Because he was still over all of that stuff. And so here's this woman who has a video done and it's approved by Sevon.
And now she's shitting on him.
And now she's shitting on him. If she really wanted to make a stand, she should have not done the video back then.
Well, right. I mean, yeah, this isn't like new news that she thinks this. If she's pulling stuff from before she even did her documentary, why would she even sit for the documentary if she thought he was a piece of shit? Yeah, that makes sense.
Correct. And so that really infuriated me because here you are, and we know, right? We have a YouTube channel. You throw Sevon's picture, Sevon on the thing, it's going to get a bunch of clicks and a bunch of likes.
Right.
So she's clickbaiting the whole damn thing for her own gain. And that's why I said you shouldn't click on it, even though I know you're curious.
Yeah, I won't.
But it's clickbaity, and she's not making a stand. She's just trying to get clicks and likes on her video.
Just a mouthpiece.
And it's a shame because her story was good.
Yeah.
And now she's doing all this shit.
Kind of doesn't mean anything now. Let's I'm seeing in the chat, Jamie says that she's at 3:00. I have her at 2:00 on Thursday. 2 p.m. Eastern. When do you have Jamie?
I think I had her at 2.
Okay, Jamie, you think it's at 3? That might be a problem, unless she's in like Nova Scotia. She in a different time. She in a time zone ahead of us?
No, she is in Michigan.
Okay, so it's 2:00 her time, 3:00 our time. Unless she thinks it's 3:00 her time, which means it would be 4:00 our time.
No, Michigan and Ohio are in the same time zone.
Oh, okay. We're the same. Okay. Well, it's still the wrong time. Oh yeah, probably right. Okay. So Travis, sorry, it's at 3:00. No, it's at 2:00. 2 works. Okay.
It's at 2:00. Yeah.
Phew.
That's what we have in the calendar.
We can move it if we need to.
She's already causing problems. We haven't even had her on the show yet.
I know. Jeez, who is this Jamie person? Come on.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get our reminder today of everything that's going on this week.
Travis, you can go back and watch it afterwards. You don't have to be in the live chat. We'll keep it going for you.
You're all good, Jamie.
The show must go on.
Look forward to this week. It'll all be good. And with that, we will bid you all good night. It's been a great weekend for CrossFit and competition. And got an exciting week. Make sure to tune in, and we'll talk to you all soon.
2:30 tomorrow, roundtable.
2:30 tomorrow, roundtable. All right.